Hey, and welcome into another basketball edition of the Big Ten Huddle. As we hit week 14 of the college basketball season, it's time to take a deep dive into Big Ten bracketology. The race for the NCAA tournament is heating up, and a lot of people are starting to ask questions. Will my team make the tournament? What are we going to look at? Well, I'm going to go ahead and look at this every single week, as today we're going to break down which Big Ten teams are in solid position for a bid, which ones are still figuring things out, which ones are on the bubble, and which ones need to have a miracle in order to make the dance. I'm going to start doing this every Monday for the rest of the season, Monday or Tuesday. Mondays seem like a good day just because of the basketball not being played as much on Monday. But if you don't mind, please do like and subscribe, comment your thoughts on this as well. We're trying to grow this basketball channel more, just to get more good basketball content out there for you. And who knows, as we grow, we'll probably put more into it. So please do help us out. First, we're going to look at the top contenders. These are the teams that are not only in the NCAA tournament, but also battling for prime seeding in the NCAA tournament. Purdue, sitting at the highest seeded in the Big Ten as the Big Ten team, is projected as a number 2 or a number 3 seed right now. The Boilermakers are coming off a crucial win against their rival Indiana, edging them out 81-76. However, Purdue's ice cold shooting from behind the arc in that one, 2 for 13, made the game tighter than expected. Give credit to Indiana for a well-fought game too, but despite this, Purdue is comfortably within the top 10 in all major metrics. They're solidified in their position as one of the top Big Ten teams. And if they continue their dominant play, they may sneak into being a 2 seed line. But as for right now, probably more like a 3 seed. Michigan State is the other team, and they just snapped their 13-game win streak after a tough loss to USC, which dropped them from a 3 seed in most bracket projections after getting attention as a 2 seed. Dropped them from a 2 seed to a 3 seed after last week. Even though they faltered against the Trojans, Tom Izzo's squad is still on a strong in a strong position with an 18-3 record. Their loss to USC was attributed to mostly poor shooting and a bad night at the free throw line, just going 58%. But the Spartans have a chance to bounce back in upcoming matchups against UCLA and Oregon. That's kind of their LA stretch. It's going to be away games for both of them, but with a solid track record and their usual grit, Michigan State should remain a high seed at least for the next few weeks. Next are the teams teams solidly in the field. Wisconsin's the first one, as they had an up and down week, going 1-1 with 2 quad 1 games. They dropped a game to Maryland, but responded with a comeback win over Northwestern. The Badgers' balanced play, especially their offensive efficiency, ranked number 7 in KenPom, has them projected as a 4 seed. Their 17-5 overall record, along with solid 5-5 quad 1 record, puts them in excellent shape in March. Next, we look at the Wolverines, which are back on track after a tough Purdue game last week. Michigan secured a tight win against Rutgers this week, despite turning the ball over 17 times. At 8-2 in conference play, Michigan is just a game behind Michigan State in the standings, third place right now, behind Purdue as well. But the Wolverines, their biggest asset is their strong metrics, including Bede in the top 25 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. They're looking at a top 5 seed right now, but Michigan has a chance to improve their seeding and further establish themselves in their remaining games being played, many of them being played in Ann Arbor. Another 5 seed, there's a good amount of them that we're looking at here, is Illinois, which has been a tough team to pin down. They've suffered some injuries with key players like Tomislav Ivisic missing time, KJ Kasparis Jakonis. He has had his hard stretch for a little bit of time too, but Illinois did drop a game against Nebraska. However, they bounced back with a win over Ohio State, a bit of an underrated Ohio State team, I might add. The committee will need to consider how Illinois fares when healthy, and if Illini stay strong, they should hold their number 5 seed. However, their seeding could fluctuate based on their performances down the stretch. They got to win the games they're supposed to win, and they got to challenge for the games that are going to be the toughest for them going down the stretch. A team that is heating up right now is Maryland, just at the right time. After starting the New Year's with losses to Oregon and Washington, the Terrapins have bounced back, winning 6 of their last 7 games. Maryland's recent win over Wisconsin solidifies them as a contender for a number 6 seed. They've got a well-rounded team that ranks in the top 25 in both offense and defense. And if you avoid bad losses the rest of the way, they could climb even higher. Another 6 seed right now is a team I didn't expect to be a 6 seed after the way they started the year. And that's the Oregon Ducks. They've had a rough patch and seen their seed drop over the last couple of weeks, losing 3 games in a row, including a blowout loss to UCLA. They are 4 of their last 5, and they also had an upset to Nebraska, which that'll drop you down, like I said. Despite this, their non-conference resume remains strong, and with an elite quad 1 wins, the Ducks are still projected as a 6 seed. If the slide continues, though, Oregon risks falling to a lower and lower seed. Now, for some of the more interesting situations that are on the bubble, we've got a couple of them. The first one, mentioned them earlier, Ohio State, which is clinging to a number 10, possibly a number 11 seed, probably more like a 10 seed, after going 1-1 quad 1 games this past week. The Buckeyes secured a win against Penn State, but fell short against Illinois. They also blew out Iowa at home, but with the way Iowa looks metrically, that doesn't look as impressive as some other ones. At 13-9 overall, Ohio State has some work to do, but their impressive strength of schedule and net ranking keeps them firmly in the tournament picture for now. We'll see how things go, but for now. They'll need to rack up a few more wins to avoid slipping out of the first 4, but they are a team trying to climb up. Another team trying to climb back into it is Nebraska, who is a surprising entry into the tournament conversation after back-to-back quad 1 wins over Illinois and Oregon. These victories pushed the Huskers into the final spot in the bracket as an 11 seed. If Nebraska can keep up this level of play, they have a good chance of staying in the field, but they need to be consistent and avoid dropping games against weaker opponents. The first team on the outside looking in is Indiana. The Indiana Hoosiers, Mike Woodson and everything going on there, which had a golden opportunity to grab a quad 1 win against Purdue. Mike Woodson, maybe call a timeout, maybe give the ball to Trey Galloway. Just my thought, but they fell short in that game. The Hoosiers have now lost 5 of their last 6 games, putting them in a precarious position at 14-8 overall with a 2-8 quad 1 record. Indiana needs to start winning some of these close games to keep them keep their tournament hopes alive. Their upcoming schedule is brutal, but with a few more quad 1 wins, Indiana could sneak themselves into the field, but it's going to be an uphill battle for them. Last week's upset king was USC, and their win over Michigan State was huge, not only for the program, but also metrics-wise, NCAA tournament-wise. I think this is a team that could make the tournament, very likely. They snapped the Spartans' 13-game win streak. The Trojans have now faced their way into the tournament. They have now forced their way into the tournament conversation, but they'll need more consistency to stay there. With several more opportunities for quality wins on the horizon, USC could make a late push and get themselves into the tournament. Next are our 2 injury-ridden teams. It's kind of sad, but this is what we're going to do. And chief among them is Iowa, whose season has been derailed by injuries, and the biggest of those injuries was Owen Freeman, who got announced on Monday morning, and their tournament hopes are fading fast. They've now lost their last game and recently suffered the season-ending loss of center Owen Freeman. The Hawkeyes need to turn things around quickly if they want to stay in consideration, but for being honest, the odds are stacked against them. And of course, we have to mention Northwestern and their tournament hopes, which took a huge hit this past week after going 0-2. They lose key player Brooks Barnheiser, who has the highest usage rate on the, or second highest use. No, they have the highest. He has the highest usage rate on the team. I remember that from my video. The Wildcats' chances are all but gone at this point, if we're being honest. Maybe they can pull something out and do something. We'll see. But it's been a rough stretch for Northwestern, and barring a miracle, they won't be dancing in March. Teams that are pretty much completely out of it, and we can say even with a miracle, they're probably completely out of it, are Penn State, Rutgers, Washington, and Minnesota. We have been all over, or Minnesota have all been out of contention for some time and will likely stay that way. The Big Ten remains one of the most competitive conferences in college basketball, with only 4 teams completely out of it and multiple teams poised to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. We'll see how it goes. However, the next few weeks will be critical, especially for those teams on the bubble as the regular season winds down. Every game takes on increasing importance, and we'll be here to keep you updated on all the twists and turns as Selection Sunday quickly approaches. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know, do you think that there are any teams in the Big Ten who can make a deep run in the NCAA tournament? I have 2 or 3 in mind, but I want to know your thoughts as well. How many bubble teams do you think there are, and do you think any of them will make the tournament? Love your thoughts on USC or Ohio State, Nebraska as well. Just give me your thoughts. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments, respond, and kind of get that conversation going. So thanks so much for listening and watching, and I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you again next time.